Not live. Sorry. It's a little dark here. Anyway, greetings everybody. This is Harmony speaking. Hopefully, you know by now, I've done this video, it's probably like the fourth time I've said this, that I don't really do much on this channel anymore. This is my backup channel. My main channel is One Harmony Mandela Effect. So just go on the YouTube and type in One Harmony Mandela Effect. And I'm using that channel. I got away from the Mandela Effect. I'm using it more for QHHT. And when I do a Mandela Effect type video, it's going to be on this channel. I'm going to kind of separate the two topics. YouTube is not letting me rename my channels. If I could, I'd rename my One Harmony channel and take the Mandela Effect off. So that's not something they allow us to do. And it's getting a little rainy here. Just a second here. And then I'm also primarily making this video for the people on my other channel who answered my call for or my advertisement, whatever, for Soul Harmonics. For those of you who don't know, you should go to my website. It's www.soulharmonics.net. It ends in net. It's not a com. So www.soulharmonics.net. Let's see. So for the folks who are taking advantage of this remote healing session, it's not QHHT, so I can do it remotely. Once again, QHHT must be in person. They do not allow it to be done remotely. But I've been doing remote healing for 20 years now, and Dolores Cannon said you can continue doing your other modalities. When you become a QHHT practitioner, it does not mean you have to stop being a Reiki master and etc. And you don't have to quit being a therapist or quit being a pastor. You don't have to quit all your other careers. It's not that kind of thing. Although I have heard the contrary. So hopefully what I've heard doesn't turn out to be true. But anyway, in order to do the remote session, you got to have a headset that goes over your ears and a boom mic that goes over your mouth, because when a person is hypnotized, they can speak so quietly, they can whisper. Even when I do my QHHT sessions in person, sometimes they're so quiet you can't even hear them in person. So it's important to have a mic that goes over the mouth. And in reality, that mic will pick up your voice better than me sitting there being in person and whispering. You also need to be at least a $20 headset. Do not get one of those $10 ones. Those $10 headsets are crap and they're cheap for a reason. You have to spend at least $20. I recommend getting a Logitech headset. Those are one of my favorite ones. Also, I actually need to see your face. It has to be video. I need to monitor your eye movement, your throat, and your chest. So I need to be monitoring your breathing and your eye movements, because you're hypnotized, and I have to monitor you to look for certain signs and certain things, so I know what to do as a practitioner or a hypnotherapist. And let me see. The other thing is, you should really. I should really send you pre-work. Normally to have a QHHT session with me, you have to do about 3 to 4 hours of pre-work to make the session successful. Of course, you can just go right into it, but the odds of it just enhances the session when you do the pre-work. For the Soul Harmonics technique, you really have to have an overactive imagination. You have to have like imagination like a child, fantasy, if you will. You have to, basically, you're going to feel like when you're hypnotized and you do this type of work, you're going to feel like you're making the whole thing up. You really are just going to feel like you're making the whole thing up, and you're going to be thinking this isn't real, and this is just a bunch of, you're going to be thinking it's bogus, and all kinds of weird chatter happens in the back of your mind. Same thing happened with me when I did my first session. So you have to be willing to ignore all that chatter that happens in the brain, the ego, the conscious mind, we call it, and ignore it. Here I am driving a car. Here's the perfect example. It's kind of like the ego and the conscious mind are always in the driver's seat driving. Over here in the passenger seat is your subconscious mind, and in the back seat would be your higher self or soul. And what hypnosis does is we're taking the ego, the conscious mind, out of the driver's seat. We're putting him in the back seat, and we're letting the soul, some people call it the subconscious mind, some people call it the higher self, we're letting them sit in the driver's seat and do the driving. Now, we all have heard the expression, the backseat driver, and nothing is more true than it is in hypnosis. You will have your ego in the backseat yelling at you going, this isn't gonna work, this is a waste of time. If you happen to be a paying client, it'll be like, you're wasting your money, and your ego is just gonna be in the backseat yelling and screaming. And what happens when you have a backseat driver? The backseat driver can distract you and cause an accident and make it so you don't get to your destination, correct? Same thing with hypnosis. That ego in the backseat yelling and screaming can shut the whole session down and stop it cold in its tracks. I've seen it happen already, unfortunately. I mean, I actually had the person's higher self talking, we're rocking and rolling, and all of a sudden, bam, the ego came through and said, I'm sorry, this isn't working, we have to end the session. And I tried to work with the ego, and the ego wouldn't have anything to do with it. The ego is back in the driver's seat and in complete control and would have nothing to do with hypnosis. The ego doesn't want to be hypnotized. It does not, because you're taking control away from the ego. You're putting the ego in the back seat. The ego doesn't want to do that. Has no interest in doing that. So it's almost like a battle with the ego. I always say the battle is in your mind, folks, and the same is true with hypnosis as well. So I guess that's about it for letting you folks know that I do have another channel and how to prepare for a remote healing session that I call Soul Harmonics. And let's see here. All right. Till next time, God bless everybody. Peace and be well.